What's going on, guys and girls, and welcome back to my video. So today we are going to talk about something that you guys see all the time on my channel, but something I've never really talked about, and that is going to be brush fires. So keep watching and find out more. So brush fires, our favorite form of fire. What do we know about brush fires? We know that brush fires can happen almost any time in any weather conditions. They can happen anywhere, and that they just plain out suck. So, if you guys did not know, I live in the mountain state of West Virginia, where it is nothing but mountains and hillsides. So, just to give you guys an idea here, this is all you see. When you look outside, you see nothing but hilltops and peaks of ridges. So, with that being said, we're going to give an example of the call that we had yesterday. I'm filming this the day after yesterday. I have a couple videos lined up behind this one, or who is lined up before this one, so I don't know when you guys are actually going to see this, but I'm referring to the ATV fire that caused a couple acre brush fire. So, we'll give an example of what we have going on here. So you have some form of the ignition of the fire. Obviously, for this one, it was the ATV. So then the fire started working its way up the mountain, or the hill. It wasn't a mountain, it was a hill. So we go out, we obviously take our brush trucks. What do we carry on our brush trucks? So, the main common tools that we use to fight brush fires is number 1, leaf blowers, number 2, fire rakes, number 3, chainsaws, number 4, last resort, water, and very rarely do we ever backburn. So I want to point out a comment that I read yesterday that someone posted on the channel. They were like, so this is quite interesting. I've never seen anyone actually use leaf blowers to fight brush fires with. And that being said is because when you look at your fire triangle, this is what this guy pointed out. It was a really good comment. Thank you for whoever did it. So you have your fire triangle, and you have your oxygen, your source, and your heat. What do leaf blowers do? Leaf blowers obviously blow air. They are throwing oxygen. So, our goal, whenever we arrive on a brush fire, you usually have a couple guys there for a second. They'll give a size up, they'll see what's going on, how much is involved, and how quick it is moving. Yesterday, thankfully, it didn't move very fast at all. If it was anything, or if it would have been any drier, then we would have had quite a rockin' brush fire yesterday. But thankfully, since it's still a little damp, it wasn't too bad. So, you've noticed in any of the videos, usually you have a couple guys wearing leaf blowers. So we'll call this our leaf blower team. So, you have a couple guys who will make their way up to the peak of the fire. They will, at this point, then start their fire line, giving proper distance from the fire and their line. Their fire line that they create is usually a couple feet long, or not a couple feet long, a couple feet wide. And then they will start working their way down. So then you also have a squad of a few, this marker's running out. You have a few guys who are all carrying rakes. So this rake team will also go up to the top of the hill, and they will go through and they will just start raking the crap out of everything in the fire line. So just as with the leaf blowers, they will start pushing everything into the center. They will throw the black into the black, and they will just throw the leaves, the twigs, into everything into the center of where everything's already been burnt. So this, at this point, is how you contain your fire. Following that, we usually have a guy, very rare do we ever have more than one, who will have a chainsaw ready to cut down any trees, or any trees that have already fallen, that's sitting there just slowly smoldering away. Yeah. So this is your typical brush fire. usually you have a couple of young guys who can get to the top of the hill quite fast, who can start making the fire line, and then you have usually your older guys who will come up with the rakes, who don't have to progress as nearly as fast as what your leaf blower squad does. And that's why you usually see me grabbing a leaf blower, and just because leaf blowers are, you can do so much with a leaf blower if you know what you're doing. Another common question I've seen about our brush fires is, why do you not use water? Well, this kind of explains itself right here. You can use water on a brush fire by all means. Water is nothing of an issue, but however, why do you need water? If you can do this, what would be your purpose in water? So yesterday, we'll give a prime example. Yesterday was actually the first brush fire I've ever seen us fight containing water, or using water to suppress and prevent a little bit more of fire spread. So I went up, obviously since it was an ATV fire, we knew that there was something, a man-made object burning somewhere. So we were going to have to extinguish that so that it can be repossessed. So we went out, and the ATV was thankfully already burned out when we got there. So we just had the brush fire to focus on after the patient care was administered by other members. So we took 96 out because 97 didn't have water on it at the time, and we had got a good container on the brush fire. So I pulled at that point. We then took some of the hose, and I went up this side and the other side and wetted down the fire line. So, well, you're kind of contradicting yourself. Why are you using water on a brush fire if you've already put in your line? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that for the whole entire line, by all means, feel free to do such. We're just saying that you don't always have to use water for your brush lines, for your fire lines. It was just more of an extra safety precaution more than anything else. And then we had to take the hose off, or we had to stretch the line anyway to extinguish and cool down the rest of the side-by-side that was left. So, this is our common brush fire. Another thing that we have to factor in a lot is wind. How fast is it going? Which direction is it blowing? You can have a fire shooting up a mountain really super fast, and all of a sudden the wind will start blowing east. So now that fire, the wind blowing this way, that fire will then start taking off to the east. It'll still keep going up, but it won't be going up near as fast as what it would be because the wind's obviously playing a big factor into it. So another thing that we like to look at is, so you have your sage fields. You either have a hillside that's on fire, or you have your sage. Sage fields are my favorite form of brush fires because not only does you not really have to do too much on them, but sage will burn itself out real fast and it will grow back 2 times as nice for the property owner later on in its life. So you still make a fire line and everything for the sage field. It's just, sage isn't as near as a higher risk of it moving as fast. Well, let me back up. Sage will move super fast. It's just that it doesn't burn nearly as much and as rough as a hillside fire. So, the cool thing about the hillsides is, at least in the state of West Virginia, I know it varies from state to state. I know like Florida and I think out west has these issues a lot. So if the fire actually reaches the top, just as long as we are up here ready to suppress it before it starts going over anymore, the fire will typically knock itself out. Fire has a rougher time burning straight down than it does going up because the wind isn't carrying it down as much as it would be coming up because we have nothing but hollers. If you don't know what a holler is, it's basically just the edge of mountains coming down to where it just creates like a valley in the middle of it. So, that is basically our brush fires in a nutshell. I hope this helps inform you guys anymore who had any questions. Another thought of what I'm thinking about it is another time we ever actually use water for brush fires is if we create a circle around our apparatus. We have to, if we're parked in the middle of if we're out on the road somewhere and if it's burning pretty fast, then we can do that to help, obviously protect the fire apparatus. But usually more times than ever, I've only heard that happening once, and if you don't want to put, because obviously brush, it'll grow back. Every once in a while you have a structure that gets opposed, an abandoned structure, maybe a vehicle or something like that, but it's just brush. Brush fires are nothing always to get excited about. I mean, it'll grow back. You get there when you get there, and that's how you should always look at brush fires. So you don't have to put yourself at risk and/or any of your apparatus, property, anything like that. Then don't do it when you fight a brush fire. So I hope that this clears some stuff up with some of our brush fires. Your all's questions. Any more questions? Please feel free to comment them down below, and I will try my best to answer them. By all means, appreciate you guys watching my videos as always. Catch you guys later. Peace.